Welcome to Lunchtime Live, everybody. You might notice there was no schnazzy intro video. It's the cameras are having a Monday. We'll put it that way. And if you are a loving and dedicated viewer of Lunchtime Live, first of all, thank you. We're a small and mighty club. You will have noticed that the past couple of weeks, the cameras were acting sassy. They're acting extra sassy today. So I decided not to test them by playing the video. I'm not pushing them. We're just being gentle, loving to the cameras today.
They might have been fans of the Cincinnati Bengals, and
they're
starting off the week in a good.
Someone said this morning, like, we should have the day off after the Super Bowl.
I agree.
That would be fine. I would be okay with that. But I guess good afternoon. Happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Yeah, it's a fun day. Hopefully it's a good day. You can make good loving choices to you and yourself and those around you. Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about today?
Just about anything we want to.
Well, so we won't bury the lead.
Don't bury the lead.
We won't bury the lead. So here's what's happening, folks. I know you'll be devastated. Today is the last Lunchtime Live. I'm going to say for now.
Yeah.
For now. In its current iteration.
It can be resurrected.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying this is the last live stream ever.
No.
It might, but Monday noon, Lunchtime Live, we're going to hit pause.
Uh-huh.
I have had so much fun with this.
I loved it.
Loved it. We've loved every second of it. But we also have other equally fun ideas up our sleeves that we've been kind of scheming and dreaming about.
We really want to try them.
And we are only human and we have limited time and resources.
Apparently.
But yeah, so we're told until you and I work so hard and then we fall over. So we're going to take a pause. And then if you make sure you're subscribed to our channel, Roundtone Media at YouTube. I'm assuming that if you found us here deep in the depths of our channel, you are part of our community. So thank you for being here. And you'll keep an eye out because we're going to have some new stuff coming for you that hopefully brings meaning and fulfillment and a little enjoyment and all of those things.
I'm just going to circle back for a second.
Do.
I love the way you set all that up. That was beautiful. This was your vision, and it's been great. We've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And we've had some really nice conversations at times.
Mm-hmm.
So all of it's been wonderful. A few years ago, I was introduced to a man named John Roberto, who's a professional Christian educator, works with churches all across the country to help them develop their faith formation programs. He was the one who first, let's just say, as I got to know John, I discovered his infatuation with the word prototype.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he said, his question to me was, I don't know why aren't churches just experimenting more, trying things, and try them for a season and see how it feels and how it works. And then, let it go, try something else, because to your point, we do have limitations.
Sure.
Apparently.
And
so this is, to me, this has been really enjoyable. And I think we've talked sometimes about how just working through Lunchtime Live and talking, it sort of feeds off the other things we're doing. And feeds back into them.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that this has been an experiment that I would consider a real success in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And now we're thinking about how we can take the energy of this and move it into some other new directions. And who knows, at some point later, we'll maybe reconvene Lunchtime Live or some kind of live stream discussion or conversation and see where that goes.
Yeah, it's been fun because sometimes it feels like you guys are kind of watching us having a brainstorm meeting.
Yeah.
Which is fun, which is a nice exercise for us too. I mean, this is kind of how we are most of the time anyway. It's just there aren't lights and cameras on us.
Right.
But this casual nature, this sort of the fun of it, I think is really great. And I think, so I counted, and this is actually our 16th Lunchtime Live.
Gosh, I wouldn't have even thought that.
Which I wouldn't have guessed that. Yeah. And our friend, the Reverend Shannon White, has joined for some of those.
Yep.
It's been very interesting sitting on this side of the desk because I will say, we've mentioned this in Lunchtime Lives before, that, on Mondays, we record a couple of different content pieces.
Right.
And then we roll into Lunchtime Live. And sometimes, because especially we record the podcast right before this, sometimes after the podcast, my brain's like, I don't know I don't know how to be interesting anymore. I don't know how I'm going to do Lunchtime Live.
I could take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been a great lesson, because then we'll start talking and you'll say something, it's amazing and interesting. And then we're off rolling, and then it's 20, 30 minutes later, and
We find a way.
But it's just always like, there's always more to explore and dive into, and that trendy word, unpack. And that's been a really interesting lesson for me, and sort of how we make content as a media organization.
Yeah, I think there's something about it, I guess it's kind of like exercise in a way. You think, I can't do this. I really do not have the energy to do this. And you start doing it. And then when it's done, you have more energy than when you started.
Right.
And I think we've kind of felt that way. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, because we certainly want the podcast and the weekly message that we send out. Here's what's happening this week at Round Hill Community Church, and all those things to be as good as they can be.
Right.
But this has been a nice quality to it. And I do think, I wonder now going forward, what changes will be taking place on the media landscape as people start to come back to churches. Will they maybe not be as interested in the online services that we've done, or maybe even the podcast? Or will they say, hey, I really want to keep going with all those things, but maybe the spontaneity that goes along with a live stream will be more appealing. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
yeah.
Right.
Because I know live streaming as a whole is projected to be a very even more common thing going forward. I like the length of ours. Some of them are multiple hours long. And I don't know who has time for that. On either side of the camera.
Unless it's about pro football, I can't imagine who would listen to something for hours.
Is that's that's the one you're like, you're fine with? I'm fine with that. It's interesting, because I wonder if a lot of people sort of put this stuff on in the background, and it's like to keep you company while you're working, or, it's sort of an interesting thing. I will admit, so I really got into this because I'm part of a creator community, and they're really encouraging live streaming as kind of like an experiment, a prototype, and also as a learning experience, because you learn so much doing something live.
Sure.
I think we've grown and stretched through it, which is kind of funny, because we don't do a ton of editing of our podcast. We really don't. Like, if I stutter, which is often, I just leave it in. Yeah, we all have our moments. I leave it in. Like, to me, that's not a critical edit.
Let the necessary imperfections have their day.
Yeah, and it's a different experience when you were filming like worship. But the other more casual stuff, I mean, this is like even more casual than our podcast.
Yes.
Which is interesting. It's interesting to sort of play with those levels of sort of formality, and then to more casual, like just relaxed conversation. I like the range, because as a consumer of media, sometimes I want to sit and have a formal experience, and sometimes I want to just kind of hang out with people that feel like pals.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
So I hope that's been for you guys something nice. Funny story, when I was setting up this studio, I was watching live streams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was just in the background. I would be playing with cables and tying up things with twist ties and going down, making things. And I'd have a live stream on in the background.
It's kind of like it's like being in a house that's under construction right there. And you've got people talking and right in another room. And it's just kind of nice to know that the sound is there. And every once in a while you sort of lean in when something sounds more intriguing.
Well, they were on often live streams about live streams.
Oh,
so it was,
of course there were.
It was very educational, which puts me in mind. I think we recorded a podcast about podcasting once, which was fun. It was like, what was our sort of goals about podcasting?
Well, I've really enjoyed the times. I mean, it's always great to do these, but I have enjoyed the times when we've had comments, questions that sort of give you something to feedback. It's the engagement, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're really after.
Yeah.
And so I think the things that we're thinking about instituting going forward are designed in part to enhance engagement and get more and more questions and back and forth.
And I think Monday at noon was probably not a perfect time for everybody. There's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah.
And thanks to all those who caught this after, like that really,
that's great.
Really was surprising actually how many people we had view after. So thank you for that. So we're excited to give you more, I'm actually really interested in exploring some short form content, which is a really fancy way of saying like 3 to 5 minute videos.
Yeah, super short.
That sort of like are fun and maybe have this element of being casual and maybe a little whimsy. And I think a video that's fun to create is a video that's fun to watch. So that's kind of where we're going, which I think we've always talked about that. Like we've shown each other videos over the years, like instructional intros that make us kind of chuckle.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we want to have some of our content live, which is that, being a person of faith or learning about faith or talking about faith isn't so serious all the time.
Right.
There's humor and there's holy humor.
It can be a lively conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've thought sometimes about the conversations that like kids will have at camp at night. I used to love it when I was a counselor, and I used to overhear these conversations in the room next door about all these amazing things these kids are talking about. And it would be just very fresh and honest, and they'd be vulnerable and think, but they were also asking quite often about big questions. And I think that that's a nice combination. And sometimes, I've witnessed some live stream conversations about big questions that have been so enthralling, and then everybody else gets to add in, and that's fun. Yeah.
And I want to also find ways to encourage our community, because not all our community is that comfortable with different levels of technology. Sure. So I want to find ways to lovingly encourage them to come in and join the conversation in the comment section. Really get that kind of going, because that's not an element we've found an entry point with yet. So yeah.
Well, I represent that demographic.
You're not that comfortable?
The group that needs lots of help.
Aw. Well, but our amazing friend Carolyn thanks us for our Lunchtime Live. Thank you for watching. Yeah, you're always here. We love that you're here every week. It's incredible. Thank you so much for the support. And we hope you'll love the new content we'll have coming out. Probably give us like a month-ish.
Yeah.
Probably. Working. We've got some ideas. We'll probably meet after this, actually. I have some things to go over with Ed about the new ideas. And I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I think this was good. So as a friendly reminder, if you want to support Roundhill Media, please make sure you are subscribed. Liking a video, which is there's like a little thumbs up icon, seems like such a silly thing to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm often really bad about hitting thumbs up. It really helps because it tells YouTube that this content is content you want to see. So, with any of our videos, please do that. I'd be so grateful.
Each and every one.
Yeah. And so just as a reminder that from Roundhill Media, we have the online worship service, which actually you and I were talking about yesterday, that like churches for a long time would be on TV. And this is kind of the new version of that.
It is.
I feel like it's the new version of that without,
I just want to say, I mean, you had pointed that out, and it's absolutely right. This media, church and media, it's been around for a long time. And I remember growing up, so in the 60s, watching for the very first time, I think, kind of a, mega church pastor on television. So, been around.
It's been around. My home church was on TV growing up, which was always very surreal.
Yeah.
And then we have the podcast, which is called Roundhill Radio. That is available anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And it's actually, the video version is always available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it or listen to it, there are multiple ways to do that. And then we have our What's Happening, which is our news and updates. And I'm sure there's more. Oh, yes. Our sermons are now a podcast called Sermons from Roundhill. I got very, very creative with the title there.
Keep it simple.
I wanted to make it obvious what it was. And then and much more coming soon.
It's a creative outlet, right?
It's so fun to play.
It
It's
is.
so fun to play and be like, what excites us to create, and what, where do our energies want to be given to? So excited. Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining me on this crazy adventure experiment. I have to say, we came to Ed, like 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, we should live stream.
Why not?
And to your credit, you didn't immediately go, no. I think maybe "what's that" was the first thing out of your mouth,
Probably.
which is valid.
Probably.
But grateful to have a gang that's willing to go on these crazy adventures with. It's fun.
Yeah, more
It's
to
good
come.
times.
And in that spirit of experimentation and prototypes.
Yeah. So if there's anything you're like, I wish Round 2 Media would do blankety blank, please tell us.
That'd be very helpful.
Yes, it would. We'd be always grateful for input.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So we hope you guys have such a good Monday. We hope you have a great Valentine's Day. We hope you have a great week ahead. And we will see you back here shortly.
Yes, we will.